Yartzeit. Tonight is the Yartzeit of the Rabbeinu Meir ben Rav Eliezer Mijikiv.
Meir Mijikiv?
Meir Mijikiv, yeah. Meir Mijikiv, the Imrei Noam, he was the son of Rav Eliezer Mijikiv, and he was the grandson of Naftali Rav Shitzer. Now, how did I get to meet Imrei Noam?
I don't know.
Imrei Noam had a nephew. And he wrote a sefer called Chamet Hava. His name was Avram Simcha Horowitz ben Rav Moshe Mibarnev. Okay, he was a grandson of Lezer Jikover. Right, Lezer Jikover had a son of Moshe, and he was a grandson. And so the Imrei Noam was his uncle. And he was a big chassid of his uncle, and he quotes from his uncle in the Sefer Chamet Hava from the Sefer Imrei Noam. I came across the Sefer Chamet Hava and said, wow, what a fat Sefer. Barnev Rav Barnev, he moved from Europe to Eretz Yisrael in the early 1900s. He was like the big Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael in the early 1900s. He lived right down the block of the Yeshiva. His house. His mom was right there. It's right there. I think it's in Zit. Not Zit. There's a different name for it. It was a fellow I used to learn in this building. I remember I located it, where his house was, and now it's like a short one. And he was a big Rebbe, and he was a big Mekobo. And he used to quote from his uncle, Imrei Noam, and so I found Imrei Noam, and I said, wow, that's amazing. So Imrei Noam is a sefer that is really, just opens your eyes to certain derech of Torah. Now the emphasis of Imrei Noam, he built his derech of Torah on a sefer called Riskunas Olam. Okay, so the person that's really that's responsible, that they helped, that this was their Rebbe in this type of Torah, was someone wrote a sefer called Riskunas Olam. His name was, he's from Koretz. I forgot what his first name was. That was Imrei Noam. His really like his Torah, which is B'derech HaKabbalah, B'derech HaChasidus, is just like a very interesting mix. That's you probably heard from me. Just say one ma'aseh that when they said about the Imrei Noam. Pasuk in and the Gemara says, "Akol b'dei Shemayim, chutz mi Shemayim." Right? Because Ati Yisrael, Ma Hashem Lekach Shalom Yimach. What is Hashem watching? Only Kim Yiras Hashem Lekach. Okay, so Imrei Noam said, "Isaiah, Ati Yisrael, Fa Yisrael, Ma Hashem Lekach." If you want to know what is Hashem, who is Hashem, what is Hashem, Shel mi Imach. Just ask yourself, just look at yourself. And with this, he raised up his hand and he says, who makes his hand move? Right? It's Hashem. So if you want to know who Hashem is, you just have to look a little deeper into the Bria and you'll see Hashem every place. And this is really what Chasidus is. Chasidus is really what Pnimius HaTorah is. Right? It's really just, you walk outside, you can see trees and you can see sky, or you can see Hashem. Right? You can hear birds chirping, or you can hear malachim singing. Right? You can hear messages. You may not know what the messages are, but you walk out to hear birds chirping. I know there's big messages going on over here. I wish I could understand it, but there's a lot more there than meets the eye. So I was talking to everyone lives with this. They don't recognize it. They're living with it. We all live with it, whether you have a big shiva for Pnimius or not. You don't realize, being a Famir, that you live with this. It's just beneath. It's just very, very subliminal, right? It's very, very beneath the surface. Someone told me, Talmud of the Yeshiva, going back a few years ago, he was toying with the idea of going off the derech, and he wasn't going to go off the derech stam. If he was going to go off the derech, he was going to go off, big time. He was exploring atheism. So he decided he's going to try out atheism, right? He's going to convince himself that the world is pointless, right? And it's just random atoms. And he put on this mindset, and he walked outside, and he says, "Wow, the whole world is a different world than it was before I put on the atheism cloak." Right? Because all of a sudden, like, nothing matters anymore. You know, he said he just felt like so liberated, because his whole life, everything, but even though he wasn't the most yeshivish guy, but everything he was doing was sushta. Like, that there's a world, that's Hashem's world, and we have a place in it. We have a tachlis, and everything is being judged on some level. And all of a sudden, he felt like, okay, random. You walk outside, you can hear a pin drop. There's nothing going on. Right, but on the one hand, it was calm and liberating. Right, on the other hand, it was empty. Okay, nothing going on. Nothing ever went on. Nothing ever is going to go on. Right, and he started off as a tipus rucha, a random tipus rucha. You're a walking tipus rucha, and you can end up dog food. Right, that's what it is. What's the difference? It's, right, a walking dog food or a non-walking dog food. And Mamela, despite the fact he felt the difference of, okay, no pressure anymore, nothing matters, but nothing matters, so then, okay, now what? But what he described for this experience was, and to me this was very profound understanding, is that he said like this, Rabbi, you don't realize how from you can walk around so cognizant of the devotion, no matter what they're doing, no matter what the madrega is, your life is just totally surrounded by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Our job is to recognize what we know and what we're feeling, instead of always looking to try to escape. So the guys, people that aren't doing what they're supposed to be, they're going to spend their lives trying to escape, trying to figure out a way to justify escape, you know, and all that noise stopped when you deny, right? But to recognize that we're all doing Tzushtam Tagadosh Baruch Hu 24/7, every breath of our life we're Tzushtam it. And once you recognize that we're Tzushtam because it's real, then Ma Hashem Lakach Shalom Yimach, right? Shalom Yimach. Just look at yourself. Just look at the way you handle, and your whole existence screams HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Hashgacha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Bria, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Tachlis. And when you take what's there dormant and you bring it to the surface, this ultimately directs us in the direction we need to be going. Bez Hashem Yirach. The Baba Rebbe, who would have a shaykhis to Imrei Noam somehow, they were shaykh with each other. You know, the sons, the Baba Rebbe's the sons of Rav, and sons and Jacob, they were very close, because the sons of Rav was the Talmud of the Naftali Rapshitzer, who was the founder of that dynasty, Naftali Rapshitzer, Jacob, and they made Noam and Vaita B'Kodesh. So I pulled out the Kedushas Tzia and Rabbi Tzia Baba, who is the father of Shlomo Baba, who we all knew from Baba 48, and he was killed, Kiddush Hashem, by the Nazis, and hence they named his sefer Kedushas Tzia, right? Because he died like Kiddush Hashem. And he brings down over here, Rashi writes, Zayis Chukas HaTorah. Rashi brings down, Levisha Satan v'umas ha'olam moinin es Yisrael, loymar ma ha'mitzvah zayis, ma tam yeshba. Right, this is a mitzvah that is really unusual ingredients, unusual avodah, and this is something that, in as much as it's so unique, the Yisahara, the Umas Ha'olam, they pressure Klal Yisrael and say, what's the point of this mitzvah? This is so unusual. So it says, Zayis Chukas HaTorah, Zehim Lefana Elecha Rishus Lahar Achara. That's the Lashon of Rashi. It's a chukah, and you're not even meant to think about it. Adarab. A mitzvah that's done on Cape Town is Nigala, that we do it just because Hashem said Nigal L'Shem Shemayim Shabbat, L'Shma Shemayim. In fact, the famous question would it be we don't know the top for Paraduma. We have Rashi himself brings down from Moshe Darash, and the paraduma is a kapara for the egel. Egel is a child of a calf of a parah, a child of a parah. Right? The mother has to come wipe up the mess of her child. So male, the paraduma is a kapar of egel. So that makes sense. And there are other reasons for other but what's the pshat? How do these two things stem? Rashi on the one hand says and the Parshas, and then Rashi says that it's a mashal, it's a ben shifcha, right? You have a child of a shifcha who goes to the king's palace and makes a mess. Diaper falls off, and they tell the mother, "Come, clean up the kid's mess." So come to the bar, cleans up the mess that the egel made. So. The Kedushin, he wants to make a pshara between these two statements, right? The Tabi Ima Takanecha says V'na stems with the fact that it's an Ingatz and a Chukas. He says that what was the seed behind the egel, right? Because Moshe came down late from Har Sinai, and he said, Moshe Rabbeinu died, right? That Moshe was in a hurry, came down late, or at least the Filo Cheshbon was late, and they said Moshe Rabbeinu died. Who thought Moshe Rabbeinu died? And who justified Moshe Rabbeinu died? Okay, we have to come up with a new game plan, we have to make an egel, right? New religion, new idea. Who came up with this? It wasn't Klai, right? The Pasuk says, Lechrei, Tishiches Amcha, Rashi, Shiches Amcha, it's the Erev Rav. Hashem told me, it's your nation. You took it out of Mitzrayim. It was that. What was with Klai Yisrael? Klai Yisrael had a moon. Klai Yisrael said that we have a good kasha. We don't know where Moshe Rabbeinu is, right? But we have a Torah, and you're right. We don't understand what's going to be now, but we have a Torah. We just have to keep the Torah to complete the total Amunah. Mimela, what's the raya? The Klai Yisrael has Emunah, and they would never fall for any kashas to go off the derech. God Baruch gives him paraduma, and he says, "Look, I'm going to prove to you, Klai Yisrael will never go off the derech, and it's really just the Erev Rav over here. Klai Yisrael will be mitzad themselves, will never have made such a mistake. We're going to give Klai Yisrael mitzvah paraduma. Paraduma is a mitzvah that has no reason, and when Klai Yisrael does this mitzvah paraduma be'emunah and b'simcha, this proves that Klai Yisrael doesn't have kashas. So the mitzvah of paraduma is because when you do the mitzvah that bitam the chayk sheba on kain tam, that shows that you were not responsible for drawing bad conclusions from the egel, because the egel must have been the Erev Rav and only the Erev Rav. Araya, Klai Yisrael is happy to do mitzvahs of paraduma without any understanding, and they would never come to bad conclusion just because they have a kasha. Okay, so that's how this is how the Kedushin makes a pshara between the two pshatim. It makes between the pshat of Kavim Takanecha says, but no, it's hagufa ayideya is that you do the ego, that you do the paraduma with complete and total amuna without needing a tam. This rises on the ego that Klai Yisrael was not responsible. Klai Yisrael is not the type to start coming to bad conclusions just because they have the kasha must. Just with Erev Rav Mel, Klai Yisrael is free. Just if you're right with what we probably said it last year, just a reminder. There's actually from the Kedushin Tziyam, we mentioned this. I saw this. You brought it down in Parshas back, Parshas Yartzeit. The Rebbe of Shmelka. Rebbe of Shmelka says that the Gemara Erevin says that Nachla Lam Shanivra Mishanivra. I think we might have seen some Parshas. I might have said that. You're better off not being created. Why you better off not being created? Because it's more mitzvah license to say the mitzvah say, and therefore it's more likely you can be over a lot before you accomplish a mitzvah. Yeah, that's on the surface. On the surface is more mitzvahs like I say than mitzvahs I say. When you look a little deeper, every mitzvah I say is really two asays. Because when you do the mitzvah with the kavanah that you want to do the mitzvah, you have the cheshik to do the mitzvah, you have the pnimis in the mitzvah, the mela, you get schar for the machshava of the mitzvah, and you get schar for the ma'aseh mitzvah. So every mitzvah is really two. So even though there's only 248 mitzvahs say, 365 mitzvahs say, that's really 248 times 2, so you end up with 496 mitzvahs say. So now it's not a different. So if it gets with the Rebbe Shmuel saying is, if you live life pneumistic, right, then life all of a sudden becomes a much better prospect than when you're not living pneumistic. Okay, that's the mussar, right? That's the machshava behind the whole. So I tied it. The Fisha Satan Bumas Ha'olam Moinin Es Yisrael. Right? Moinin Yisrael means they make a cheshbon with Klal Yisrael. Right? What's the point of getting involved in what's the point of getting involved in mitzvahs? When you count up all the mitzvahs, you're going to see there's a lot less mitzvahs I say than mitzvahs lois I say. And in Mela, when you make a cheshbon, they make a cheshbon with Klal Yisrael. What are you getting involved with Klal mitzvahs? Right? Comes along the mitzvah of paraduma itself. When Klal Yisrael does paraduma without any understanding, they do it complete with emunah. So a mitzvah that is done without any understanding on the outside. So what's really fueling this mitzvah? The ma'aseh mitzvah you don't understand. So what's really fueling your pneumius, right? Your bitachon, your emunah. So the paraduma is the ultimate mitzvah to show that there's a pneumius that gives chashivas to mitzvahs. And in Mela, this becomes the chayk of the Torah. This throws off the entire cheshbon of the Umas Ha'olam. The Umas Ha'olam saying there's only 248 mitzvahs and 365 mitzvahs, like I say, right? You say, what do you have to do instead? Don't try to make sense out of it. Just go with total emunah. You go with total emunah. Now you have, besides the mitzvah itself, you have the emunah of the mitzvah. So you have two mitzvahs in Mela, the paraduma is Megal and all mitzvahs of the Torah that we have a previous to it. And Mela, the minion of the Umas Ha'olam is out the window, and Klal Yisrael's about the Nerchlem that we are Nivra, we're much better off being Nivra. They have opportunity to be Marbek Kvayt Shemayim and to be Kain Olam Haba Ushiktak V'Zeiche, to have tremendous amount of simcha and everything we do. And the schus, the Rebbeinu Imrei, Meir, Belezmi, Jikov, Yamalanu, we should be Zeiche Taka to Gewaldike Yisairis and Amkus in Torah and Havana in Torah and Cheshik in Torah mitzvahs and Shalom Bayis and a wonderful Shabbos.
Amen.
Amen.